Thank you very much for coming. I'll just introduce Mr. Yevi, the speaker. Very appreciate that everyone's coming, and there's also quite a few more on Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Malka, Daniela, Daniel, Rabbi Natasha, Rabbi Milman, Rabbi Nimran, and of course, Mr. Broker. Welcome tonight. For me, even at my young age of 42, I am looking forward to learn quite a bit from tonight's session. I think it's so important for us to prioritize our family life, prioritize our children's education, prioritize our family needs before some of the matters that are thrust on us by the media, which force us to perhaps misspend some of the money that God gives us. We're very grateful to Rabbi Cohen from Israel. It's getting late, that's why we have to start. And Benji Landau from London for organizing this. I'm sure, please God, at the end of the evening, we will all know much better. We'll all be able to balance our budget better and know what the priorities of spending are. So you don't want to listen to me, you want to listen to the speakers. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you who joined by Zoom from here and abroad. And please God, as I said, in the evening, we will have our priorities right and be able to work accordingly in future. Thank you so much to the organizers. And now, obviously, to Rabbi Cohen.
Hi, good afternoon. For me, it's evening, but for you, I think it's afternoon, night. What is it? What is it in Gibraltar now? What time is it there? Same as England? Are you able to hear me well?
It's already 9:20.
What time?
9:20.
Oh, so you're just an hour behind us. Okay. So good evening. My name is Maishi Khan. I am the coach supervisor and trainer in Mesila. I train coaches to work with families. I supervise the coaching. I read the reports, and I communicate with the coaches. And we're very happy to be able to bring the Mesila message and the Mesila coaching to more and more places, hopefully, and benefit many families to get to financial stability. I want to thank you for hosting this. Benji, thank you for arranging it, and to all of you for coming. So I want to talk a little bit about financial stability. We don't have that much time, but I do want to discuss some tools that I can give tonight. But before we start that, I just want to talk about, in general, a approach that we have, which is not only applicable to coaching. It's a general approach that you can take to your finances to really get your finances in order. Many people nowadays, and there are many reasons for it, but many people nowadays are finding themselves in a situation where their money is controlling them, and their money is acting upon them rather than them acting upon their money and them controlling their money. And the different reasons for it, the financial situation, and you're bombarded with stimulus from all sides, and the ease of getting credit and buying things online. It's just, the situation has become that it's just, money is difficult for many people. So I want to present to you a 3-stage process, just short, in brief, explain what it is, and then talk a little bit more about financial stability. So the 3-stage process is called awareness, change, and maintenance. We call it ACM. I will do a slideshow a little bit later, but for now, ACM, awareness, change, and maintenance. this is not only a financial, not only an approach to financial stability, any area of your life that you want stability, awareness, change, maintenance. Now, when it comes to finances, awareness is the first step, the first stage, which is really getting your bearing, knowing where you are, knowing where you stand, becoming aware of your situation. Once you are aware of your situation, the next step is to say, okay, if the situation is good, okay, leave it. It's fine. Your situation is excellent. There's no need to make change unless you want to make some adjustments. We're not talking about a global change that you need to make here because things are just not the way they should be. But when you see that your awareness, the financial picture is it's broken, there's something that needs to be fixed, or even if it's fixed, but I really want to make this much better. I want to make a great improvement. So then you need to make a change. Once you've made the change, now you need all the tools that are at your disposal to maintain the new reality. That's true in any area of life. So how does that apply to finances? So when it comes to finances, it works like this. The first thing you need to do is become aware of your income and your expenses. You need to be aware. Now you might say, "What do you mean? I know what my income is. I know what my expenses are." Yeah, your income is easy. Income is it's not so usually generally what my income is not that difficult. Although if you have, for example, I just spoke to a coach today about a client who has a bakery in her house, and her expenses. Some of the income is money that they're taking out of the bakery, and expenses are the money that they're putting into the bakery, and it's all mixed together. The household and the business expenses are all mixed together. So in a situation like that, the income might be a problem. It may be difficult to know what your income is, but in general, income is not where the real difficulty lies. It's expenses. Really knowing the expenses. Now, I'm not saying adjusting expenses. I'm not talking about that now. I'm not talking about change now. I'm talking about knowing what your expenses are. So you say to yourself, okay, what are my expenses? Let me take a look at my expenses and see what they are. But that's not so simple because your fixed monthly expenses may be easy. But there's so many expenses that, first of all, we're not aware of. We had a standing orders for whatever it is, and we don't know if how much it is nowadays. We don't know if we haven't checked up on it, or you have fluctuating expenses that happen periodically. Yom Tovim, summer, vacations, things that happen, and it's so much more than we expect. The periodic expenses that we just I don't understand. According to what I see and according to what I understand, my income versus my expenses, I should be making it at the end of the month, and I don't understand what the problem is. Why am I getting into debt? And the answer is because one of the answers maybe you may not be taking into consideration the periodic and how it affects you in the big picture. So really the awareness stage is knowing income, number one, knowing expenses and knowing exactly which category my expenses are in. What am I spending money on? Is it housing? Is it school? Is it education? Is it clothing? Is it food? Is it supermarket? Being able to categorize it, and it's very interesting to be able to make sort of a pie chart and to see in which category am I spending a lot, which am I spending less, really the clarity. See when the big expenses come. Knowing also your assets and your liabilities. What do I own? What do I have? What do I owe? And being able to compare that and figuring out your net worth. This is something that many people attempt to do, but they may not be doing it right. Or you may start going for it and then give up because it seems so tedious. It seems so difficult to get all the information. But in order to really be able to make any change, that's what you need. You need to be able to get that awareness. There's a metaphor which I like to use, which is you get into your car and you turn on Waze. You want to go somewhere. Okay, so you turn on Waze, and the first thing that happens is the Waze has to know where you are. If you have some problem with your signal and it doesn't know where you are, it's not going to be able to direct you to get you to where you want to go. The first thing it has to know is where you are. Once it knows where you are, It then expects you to put in the destination. And once you put in the destination, now Waze can tell you how to get there. So I like to look at it, the metaphor that way also when it comes to our finances. We need to know where we are. We need to get that signal. Where am I? Where am I holding? What exactly is going on? Once I've done that, then the next stage is the change stage. I know where I am. Now I have to decide where is it that I want to go. So first of all, before I can actually make the changes, I have to determine where it is that I want to go. So this is something that you really need to do. Once you have the awareness and you know exactly where you're holding, you know exactly what's going on, and now you understand your situation and you want to make changes, you need to have a vision. A vision is a clear understanding of where you want to be. This is another place where many people stop and they withdraw when it comes to the vision, when it comes to where I want to be. I don't know. I want to be out of debt, or I just I want to have savings. It needs to be a clear vision. It needs to be a mission statement, whether it's a life mission statement that takes your finances into consideration, or if it's an actual financial vision. You need to know where you want to go. Only once you know where you want to go can you now determine which is the correct track to take to get there. And trying to make change to your finances before you know what your vision is exactly like expecting Waze to be able to tell me where to go how to get there before I told it where I want to go. It doesn't work. And an example of that would be, I get the awareness and I see all of my expenses, and I start to look at it and say, oh my gosh, how much? And when you're talking about, especially when you're talking about a couple, how much is she spending on this and that? Let's change that. Wait, slow down. Before you start deciding which changes you're going to make, first have a vision. And if it's a married couple that we're talking about, it needs to be a vision where you're both on the same page. Both on the same page. This may be the first time that you actually have, for many people, it may be the first time that you get to discuss it in a way that's, I have the awareness and I could talk about it in a way that doesn't cause anger, doesn't cause resentment, because it's an open discussion of where do we really want to go. So before deciding, you got to stop, you got to cut that out. You have to earn more. You have to spend less. You have to do this. You have to do the other. Wait, slow down. Don't try to make any changes yet. First, know where you want to go. You have a very clear and powerful vision that motivates you. And this is where I want to go. Then it's very easy. The next step is, okay, so now let's see. Do I want to adjust my expenses? Do I want to adjust my income? What do I want to do? How do I want to do this? Very important to know, to have that vision before trying to make those financial changes. Now, once you've done that and you're on the track to making the changes, things are going well, you still need to actually create a budget. Creating a budget means you have the financial picture, you know what your income and expenses was, you know what they were, you know what the differential was. Now you're going forward and you're setting yourself up on autopilot. It's autopilot with adjustments. Just like on an airplane, the autopilot also has to constantly adjust. It's putting yourself into a situation where things are set up. I'm being proactive. I know where I want to go, exactly where I want to go. And now I'm determining not only how to get there, but exactly where to make a turn. Everything is determined. I'm deciding. This is the amount I want to spend on clothing. This is the amount that I want to spend on food. This is the amount that I want to spend on education. This is the amount that I want to spend on leisure. And not feeling guilty about it at all, because since this fits into my vision, and these are the changes that I proactively decided that I want to make, so I don't have guilt and I don't have resentment, and I'm not second guessing myself constantly, and there's no reason to fight because it's clear. Everything is clear. I know exactly what I need to do. So you make that budget and you have it month to month, be able to look at it and be able to examine it and keep following it in a way that will get you eventually to the goal and to the place that you're trying to get to. So that is the overview of the 3-stage process, which every person should try to be able to take themselves through that process, even if you feel like, my finances are basically okay, but if you're here and you feel that there's something that you can do, try this entire process. See if you're able to do this. See if you're able to take yourself through this process, and it'll definitely make a very powerful change in your finances to the point that instead of being a source of stress and a source of dispute and a source of strife, your finances actually become the place of stability, the powerful tool that you were given that you're now able to use correctly. And like any tool that you're given, especially like you drive a car, in order to be able to drive that powerful tool, the car, the driver's license. Similarly, in order to really use your finances correctly, and it's such a powerful tool, and not crash and not get into all kinds of situations, uncomfortable situations, you really need to learn it and to clearly determine your path and be proactive about it. Okay, I'll just questions on that general overview, and then I want to have a small slideshow to show you about the basics of getting financial awareness and understanding financial stability. If the host could please allow me to share my screen, I would appreciate it. So, are there any questions? Now, I'm not really following the chat. I have too much going on my screen to be able to follow the chat. But if anybody, if Benji or somebody can just read the any questions that there might be. If there's any questions in the audience there, I probably can't hear you individually, but if somebody would like to come forward and ask any questions about that three-stage process. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, please tell me if you see a slideshow.
Yep.
Okay. Excuse my bookmark, but in order to be able to do everything on my little screen here, where I am, I need you can see my bookmarks. Okay, so let's talk about finding our financial footing. Okay, so I wanted to define financial stability for you a little bit. Now that you understand this process, the benefits, hashkafa, a little bit of hashkafa about living within our means, and some budgeting basics. Like we don't have that much time. We start a little late. Until what time are we going to go?
Go, just go. You're fine.
Okay, you let me know. Okay, tracking expenses, which can be fun. Yeah, it's scary. No, they have to track my expenses for the rest of my life. I have to count every penny that I spend. No, it's not going to have to be that way. So it can be fun if it's done right. And some homework. Okay, so let's start with financial stability. The basic definition of financial stability is, like I said, I control my finances and my finances do not control me. So for example, it's at the end of the year and you get a bonus. Now, you're very excited about it. If you have financial stability, that means that with this bonus now, I can do with it what I want to do with it. It doesn't go into a black hole. Lack of financial stability would be, if you get a bonus, it goes into some black hole because I don't know what happened to it. I don't know where it went. I don't know. For some reason, anytime I get something, it just, somebody once told me that he sees how Hashem always prepares the refuah before the makkah. Hashem always prepares a cure for him before he gets, because every time he gets a big, some kind of a big income, some kind of a big windfall, there's some kind of an expense that happens immediately afterwards. So for some people, it's like, as soon as you get the windfall, it already has where to go. It was already determined beforehand. It knows where to go. So that would be the difference between financial stability and financial lack of financial stability. Your car needs to be fixed. Suddenly needs to be fixed. Do you have the savings? Do you have the money put aside? Or do you have to start scrambling for a loan now to be able to pay for that and then pay it back later? So these are just examples of, if I'm financially stable, I have it put aside. Not everything that happens, every big expense that comes up throws me off kilter. How do you become financially stable? Being financially responsible. In order to be financially stable, you need to be financially responsible. And financial responsibility means I take control of my finances. I don't allow my finances to take control of me. So it's a decision that we make and a commitment. It's a decision and a commitment to take control of the finances and not allow them to control us. That's financial responsibility. So in order to be financially responsible, you have to be financially aware. And there are two areas of awareness. First of all, being aware of how the Torah views money, which means, what are my values? What are my values? How do I relate to the money? And being aware of what I'm earning and what I'm spending. Just a quick discussion about the hashkafa, a little bit of hashkafa there. The Sefer Chinuch talks about the mitzvah of a carbon ola v'yored. What's a carbon ola v'yored? There's certain aveiros that if you do them, you have to bring a carbon, and the carbon is determined by how much money you have. So if you have a lot of money, let's see if we could, if you have a lot of money, so you bring an animal. If you have less money, you bring birds. And if you have less, it would be just flowers. So the Sefer Chinuch says that somebody who's not able to, the Torah has determined, only has to bring a flower offering, should not bring an animal, because if they bring an animal, they end up spending more than they have. And when a person gets used to spending more than they have, they end up stealing. That's what the Sefer Chinuch says. And you look at that, and like, I'm going to end up stealing. What am I going to do? I'm going to climb into somebody's window. I'm going to, steal money from them. I'm going to, rob somebody. I'm going to hold somebody up. No, but if a person borrows money without any idea of how they're going to pay that back, that is a problem that's tantamount to stealing. So, if people end up getting used to a certain lifestyle which they are not able to afford, and they get used to it, and then when they don't have it, they will depend and they will come on to all types of not such kosher methods to be able to maintain their lifestyle. So that's the hashkafa of the Sefer Chinuch is, even for something that's a mitzvah, don't spend more than you have. Now, it doesn't mean, and Mesila always says this, it's not like we tell people don't spend money. Not a question of not spending money. It's just, if you want to spend to maintain a certain lifestyle, you have to have the income to be able to support it, and not depend on loans or depend on other things like that to support that lifestyle. So I want to, we have some of the benefits of financial stability, but I want to see if we could talk about some happiness, sense of calm, less tension, less worry, being able to give a lot. Many people feel like, okay, my income and my expenses are okay, but I want to give. I don't always want to be in the situation where I can't give. I want to be able to give. That also, if you want to be able to give, you need to be proactive and go do what is necessary so that you should be able to be a giver. Even if it means that you say, in order for me to be able to give, I'm going to sacrifice something else. That could be a good feeling. That doesn't have to be something negative. There could be a positive. I was just reading an article in one of the children's magazines. My children, I don't remember what it was. So I saw an article. It talks about this little girl who's a Chabad shliach, and she says that for 1 year they gave up on sweet drinks in order to be able to help families that needed it. And this little girl is saying how good she felt about that. Meaning, it's not always a painful thing when you're giving up your spending. It's only painful when you don't have a powerful drive. When you have a powerful drive and a powerful vision, you know where you want to go, then it becomes much, much less painful. So if I want to be able to give, I'm willing to sacrifice. If this is important to me, I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to give up in order to be able to give more. Because that is what gives me pleasure. Instead of getting my pleasure from my luxuries or indulgence, I'll get the pleasure from the actual giving. Once a person has determined that is what's going to give them pleasure, then it's much, much easier to give it up. Another thing is having all of our needs and some of our wants. We have another lecture on needs and wants. We're not going to be able to get into that today, but we have a lecture and a lot to talk about of what are needs and what are wants. I'm sure everybody's wondering, like, how do I ever determine what's a need and what's a want? Or everything, I need everything. I'm not overspending. Everything I have is a need. So how to define that and how to really determine what they are and how to proactively decide this is a need, this is a want, and I want to, so that's something that has to be worked on. But we, in Mesila, we would like everybody, this is what we value and we're trying to strive for, everybody should have all of their needs and some of their wants provided for. Okay, being able to save more and a little bit of savings. I want to take a moment to just talk about savings. People, a lot of clients and coaches ask, how much should I put aside for saving? Before discussing how much to put aside for saving, let's talk about the habit of saving. The habit of saving is a very powerful habit. And like I once heard this expression in Yiddish, which it said, you have to rip it off from the top. Savings, if you wait till the end, till you spent your money and you want to leave over at the end of the month or at the end of the year, you want to leave over a little bit for savings, it's never going to happen. It has to always be taken, skimmed off the top. You have to rip it off. How do you do that? You put aside, even if it's a few dollars or a few pounds, whatever it is, a little bit, but just to get into that habit of putting aside money. And I see it with children. When the children who learn to put aside even a tiny drop of their money, they learn the power of saving, the power of a tool called money. They learn to respect money. It's very important for people to have a healthy relationship with money and to give it the respect that it deserves. Which means I treat it, like I said, like the powerful tool that it is. I don't worship it, and I don't look at it for status, but I recognize that it's a powerful tool and I use it as that powerful tool. So savings creates that relationship. I put aside, and we're not talking about putting aside all the money and being stingy about it, but putting it away a little bit so that my relationship is, I put it aside, I can think of the future, I can plan for the future, and I don't have to gratify my needs or my wants right away. Very healthy thing to do. So the question is how much? Yeah, there are numbers, the different formulas of how much to put aside. But the first thing is get used to putting aside even a drop, even a few dollars a month. Get used to doing that. Practice that muscle. Strengthen the saving muscle. Once you've strengthened the saving muscle, it becomes stronger and stronger, and you become able to do it much better. And then you could start to determine how much you need to put aside, whether it's an emergency fund, in case of emergency, which would be 3 to 6 months of salary, for example, and then to be able to start investing, the percentage of that. But before you can even talk about that, you need to be able to be strengthening that muscle and making sure that you're saving, that you're doing that. I wanted to see if we could see some basics of budgeting. Are there any questions, by the way, until now? Any questions? Okay, I assume that I'm super clear and covering everything because there are no questions. Feel comfortable. If you want to, you can just send it to the chat. If anybody's in the crowd there who can send it on Zoom, feel comfortable to send any question. If somebody can read it to me, I'd appreciate that. Okay, so what is a budget? A personal budget is a financial plan that allocates income towards expenses, savings, and debt repayment. Now this takes discipline. So I want to talk a little bit for a minute just about financial coaching. You might be thinking to yourself, okay, this is very good, but maybe I could do this on my own. Why would I even think of something? You talk about the flagship of Mesila, the thing that we most put out there and are interested in promoting is our coaching. Amongst all the other things, but the coaching. You think to yourself, why do I need the coaching? What do I need it for? So I'll tell you, it takes a lot of discipline to live within a budget. Now, not only does it take discipline to practice the budget, but even to just create it, to create a financial picture, and then to create a vision. All these things take a lot, and you have especially when there's a couple and there are different views, and you each have different wants and different needs, and maybe even different visions. And we hope that really, if we go deep enough, there's a joint vision. But what a coach does is a coach is there to give you the tools, to motivate you, to take you through it, to help you when there are barriers, and to act as a bridge between the husband and the wife, to get them on the same page, to be able to speak together, to get those two visions, which might look very different from each other, to get them to be a joint vision, to be on the same page. And that's why very often people need a coach to help them do that. Can be done sometimes on your own, but very often that's what you need. You need somebody to help you out. It's a Chavruseschaft. It's it's somebody to work together with, and somebody who has the tools and can take you through the process. Something that we see a lot is that different spouses, you come from different backgrounds. Not always are you coming from the same financial background, and people come with very different attitudes. Besides the vision, I have a very different attitude, I have a very different relationship with money than you have. We start to talk about, we can't even speak to each other because our relationship is different. We're not even on the same page. So to be able to understand, our coaches would have the tools. There's another lecture that we have, which I really like, is called Money Scripts, where we talk about money scripts are attitudes towards money that determine our behavior, and we have tools that can enable a person to change their money scripts once they see that this money script is affecting me negatively and it's not working for me. But how do I change that? If my attitude towards money is I worship money, or my attitude towards money is that money gives me status, and my spouse's attitude is just the opposite, how do we change? How do we get on the same page? How do we work on that? That takes tools. That takes work. And a coach is there to help you be able to do that. So debt repayment is another thing that people say, how am I ever going to pay back this great debt that I have? Well, let's think about, is this debt something that's going to be the debt that you're paying back? Is it something that's going to be going on forever? Do you know exactly how much you're able to afford and pay back? Maybe right now you're paying back more than you're able to afford. Maybe you need to consolidate your debt. And these are things that you really have to think about. Would it help me? Would it not be helpful? Excuse me?
There's a few questions in the chat. You asked the question.
Yes, okay, sure. I can't hear though very well. Somebody can move closer to the microphone.
Maybe if someone could stand up, just come up towards the laptop, ask the question on behalf, and then go back down again.
Yeah, no, it's questions for people on Zoom.
About the action on the chat. Okay, I'm gonna read them.
Okay, the first question.
Yes. Okay, will you show us how to categorize? Because that's what I want to do. I want to show you our categories. Somebody said you have to have enough to be able to save in the first place. No? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You don't. I'm going to get to the categorizing, and I'll show it to you. But we're talking about having enough to save. You don't have to have enough to save in order to practice and in order to strengthen the saving muscle. You can save even when you don't have quote unquote enough to save. You put away even a little bit. Even a little bit, going to cover this. The way school fees are now, they are beyond most people's means when multiple children are involved. Is there a formula that should be applied to determine what percentage of your overall income should be put aside for fees? I don't have a formula for determining that. It's very individualized. You have to first, like I said, you have to first see your financial picture, know what your vision is, and then you start to decide what am I going to sacrifice for this? And if it's impossible, then there has to be an approach of why is it impossible? Is there something that can be done? Can I increase my income? Can I streamline my my expenses? This will have to be determined. There's no formula that I'd be able to give you a direct formula. Okay, so we're going to take just another couple minutes. I want to show you this tool, and I think, and then I would like to share it with all of you. Somehow get this. It's called the Mesila Guide to Budgeting, and it's an amazing tool. If you take that and try to just read the instructions there, be able to do what it says there, you're already on a good path. Then you'll be able to determine if you can do this on your own or if you really need help doing it. So let's take a look at that now. I'm just going to quickly skim through this. Okay, I want to here. So I'm going to make sure that you can see my screen. This is from, okay, so let's just take a look at some of the categories. And we have two different workbooks that have two different ways of categorizing your expenses. Let's see how it's done here. Okay, so you've got your monthly income. These are the categories: housing, food and household items, bills and utilities, education and children, transportation, health and personal care, leisure, miscellaneous. Now raise your hand if you can easily tell me what percentage of your expenses is going for each of these categories, or for a number of these categories. Okay, I can't really see, but yeah, number. Great. Okay, that's good. That's good. If you can tell, you know that you already have a high level of awareness. But let's see how this breaks down. This is the overall category. What you're seeing here is the general category. Look how this breaks down. Housing is rent, mortgage, property tax, building dues, cleaning, help, outdoor maintenance, other. It really breaks it down. You're getting high resolution. You get the high resolution, you start to see exactly where your money is going. Food and household items, meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, bread and baked goods. Here, bills and utilities. Okay, these are all the monthly expenses. Telephone, cell phone. Here, let's take a look at education and children, school, daycare, school transportation, babysitting, private lessons, tutoring, etc. Transportation, auto lease, gasoline, tolls, buses, taxis, carpool, other. Health and personal care. Look at this. Leisure, miscellaneous, tzedakah, etc. Okay, this is all your monthly. Now you get a picture of your monthly, and you can calculate it here. You get a good determine your balance there, and then you have your annual budget. Again, we have this is periodic housing, clothing, education, and children transportation, health and personal care. Here you have Yom Tovim, you have leisure, and here there are different expenses. Meaning the categories may look similar, but you have different things in there that happen yearly and don't happen necessarily monthly. Let's take a look, for example, at Pesach. You know how much you pay for matzah? You know how much you pay for wine, fruits and vegetables, meat and fish, cleaning supplies? This is all good to know. Now, this is not because I'm going to have to make changes to all of these things and I want to, I'm going to have to cut down on everything. We don't believe in Mesila on cutting down. We believe on streamlining and readjusting if necessary. Okay, so then you get your balance sheet, and which is great. Your liabilities versus assets. Here's how to build a vision. We have that. Tool for building a vision. And that's an overview of how to do it. So I hope you've gotten an idea of the 3 steps: awareness, change, and maintenance. We didn't have much time to get into like the really specific details, but I just do want to show you how it's a process that the person has to go through, and to introduce the concept of doing this, really going ahead and doing it, and if necessary, if you need help, to be able to be comfortable in theory to reach out and be coached with this.
Rav Moshe, thank you very much. I'll just add a couple of words. If anyone has any questions about this, if you're just asking for any of the chayma, if you want the budgeting book, the vision, whatever it is, what I'll do is I'll provide Daniel Dalters with the details, and you can contact us, you can reach out to us, and we'll provide you with whatever it is you're after. For those of you who've got a pen on you, it's admin@Mesila UK, MESILA UK.org, or you can simply send an email to Gibraltar@Mesila.org. That's Gibraltar@Mesila.org. If you want any of the chomer that Rabbi Khan has mentioned this evening. What we can do on a future occasion for anyone who's interested, we can do a specific, like Rabbi Khan was talking about, we can do a specific presentation on any aspect of money management that you're interested in running. So if there are particular issues, how to make your money go further, how to budget properly, we can do a specifically detailed presentation on those kinds of things. But in the meantime, we'll wait to hear from you. But in the meantime, just to clarify, our bread and butter, if you like, is a one-to-one coaching service that Rabbi Khan mentioned, which is where a husband and wife who, in our experience, it could be, they've been struggling with various issues for weeks, months, years, and sometimes decades. It's usually the same issue over and over and over again. Typically, our clients come, from three pools of people. Sometimes they just can't get through the month. So, cost of living, financial mismanagement, they're spending more than they're bringing in. That's one type of client that we get. Second type of client is they can get through the month, but they're ill-equipped to deal with unexpected or irregular expenses. So, we just about tread water to get through the month. And then, the washing machine packs up, and however much that costs to replace, the car fails its MOT or whatever the Gibraltarian equivalent is, and it's however many £100 worth of repairs need to be done. That's the second category of people that come to us. Third category are people who don't struggle with either of those two issues, but they find they're not saving for the long term, so they can get through the month. They've got a buffer to deal with unexpected or irregular expenses like making Yom Tov, let's say, but they're not putting anything away, anything meaningful or substantial away for later on in life, marrying off children, retirement, whatever it might be. So those are the typical three types of clients that we get. And I would say that almost all of the clients in all three categories find themselves underpinned by a general confusion, not really sure what's coming in, not really sure what's going out. Al pi cheshbon, it should be working out, but tachlis, we find that on the ground it's not working out, and we're not sure why. We didn't think we'd have to use the credit card this month. We have to again. Why? What's going on? There's general confusion about running finances. And that's when Mesila really steps in, and we take you on this journey that Rabbi Khan was talking about, that helps people across the earning spectrum. And if I'm honest, we're really more, we can provide support for people on any income. But just to give you an idea, here in the UK, we're frequently now taking on people who are earning £100,000 plus as clients of Mesila. We're talking about people in various professions. We've taken on solicitors as clients. We have taken on people in the medical field, medical profession as clients. Across the earning spectrum and across different types of professions and careers, people are struggling to make ends meet. Now, I saw there was a question specifically about school fees. We don't have any algorithm or formula that we can provide you how much you should be paying. It's not really our decision how much you should be paying for any particular item. And one thing you'll find when you come to Mesila, if you come to Mesila, is that we never tell you what to do with your money. We want to arm you. We want to empower you to be in as informed a decision, informed a situation as possible about what your financial circumstances are. At that point, it's up to you to decide, either as an individual if you're coming as an individual, or as a couple if you're coming as a couple, how to make your choices and what you're going to do with your money. But as I said, we're frequently finding people across the earning spectrum, and significantly, like I said, it's particularly noteworthy, the number of people who are earning £100,000 plus that are coming to Mesila, because it's a struggle, even on that kind of money. So again, to reach out to us for this one-to-one financial coaching, which we are more than happy to deliver via Zoom. It does work. It's obviously always better in person, but it definitely works on Zoom. Most of the time during COVID, all of our coaching was being done via Zoom. So it definitely does work. So please do feel free to reach out to us. That's Gibraltar@Mesila.org. And we'll talk you through the process of how to register and how to sign up for Mesila coaching. If you want any further information, any of the materials that Rabbi Khan talked about this evening, the DIY budgeting booklet, use the same email address. If you're interested in putting together, groups, maybe a workshop, a 3-part workshop, which we do frequently here, or the 6-part workshop that they do in Eretz Yisrael, which is a bit more sophisticated, or a bit more comprehensive, I should say. We can organize that as well. We are very flexible and very accommodating to requests that we get for groups. So please do feel free to reach out. It's, we've got 3 weeks coming up pretty soon. It's quiet time in the calendar, so feel free to reach out to us. And we'll see what we can do. It'll be our pleasure to help whoever approaches us from the Kehillah. Lots of atzlacha to everyone. Happy to answer any questions that we have now, if there are any.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, somebody wants to know what happens if their salary isn't sufficient, for their family size. How do you advise and how do you structure yourself?
Okay, so I mean, if their salary is insufficient, there's essentially only ever really 2 things you can do. One is to earn more, the other is to spend less. Ultimately, and be'etzem, those are the only 2 options. Now, we do have a few ways to achieve either of those 2 desired outcomes, but it's not something that necessarily we could do in this forum, on this platform. I just want to say thank you again to Rabbi Kahn for, it's 11 o'clock at night over there, and he's running now off to his next thing. A großen shkoyach to you, Rabbi Kahn, for helping us out this evening. So back to the shkoyach. So back to the question. Like I said, it's not something that we could answer on this forum right here, right now. Whoever's asking the question or whoever it's being asked on behalf of, reach out to us. I don't like to say I guarantee you. That sounds a little bit too gaivadik, but Mitzvah we should be able to guide you into finding a way through the situation. Any other questions? No.
I think that's it. Thank you. Second? 1 second.
Thank you very much, Benji. Thank you very much for no more questions. I won't call your email address anyway. If they have any questions, they just email there.
If anyone wants to have a one-to-one Zoom as well, if you want to have a one-to-one Zoom to work out, how Mesila can help you, just feel free to reach out. Again, you've got the email address. Feel free to be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone.